Hi all. Today I'm going to talk about the jacket in place analysis design. So I shared my PPT on the LinkedIn page. So most of them are messaged me to give like a video kind of presentation instead of this PPT. Okay, for them benefit and then the who all are need is. So I am planned to give one session for this jacket in place analysis design. Let us go through the one by one step to what are the things we have to consider for the in place analysis design. Here the topics covered in this presentation are jacket structure introduction and type of analysis for the jacket design, and discussion about codes and standards, guidelines for jacket configuration, and the PSI soil file preparation, discussion about the pile capacity. Here how to fix up the target penetration length and then the pile capacity. So all those things we will discussing in the discussion about the pile capacity. Then jacket in place analysis, this will be covered. The jacket in place analysis covered theory part as well as the software part, how to give a input in the software. Then loading, what are the loadings we have to consider for this offshore structural design basically for jacket. Then CDCM calculate. In that coming slide I will explain what is CD and CM calculation, where we have to use it, then what is the impact on that. Then overrides, wind loads, wave loads. Then DAF calculation. DAF is nothing but the dynamic amplification factor calculation. Then air gap calculation. Then pile factor of safety. Then miscellaneous design. This actually the air gap calculation, the DAF calculation, and this calculation, or we have to do the calculation before the final run of the in place analysis. So these things, the loading, CDCM calculation, overrides, wind load, wave load, DAF calculation, air gap calculation, and these items we should be take care before running the in place analysis. So before taking the final run, we have to do all those things. Let me explain the step by step procedure, what are the things we have to do. Let me give the jacket structure introduction first. Based upon the function, the jacket may be classified into wellhead platform, process platform, riser platform, living quarters platform, etc. See, wellhead platform is the platform which is primarily meant for drilling and supporting the wellhead equipment. It supports the only the few of equipment and the wellhead control panels and piping, and also the wellhead platform will be having the helideck which is used for the helicopter landing. This is the wellhead platform. Then process platform, you know that process platform primarily meant for the production of oil and gas, and it may support additional equipment. Here in the process platform the equipment will be more compared to the wellhead platform. Then riser platform, sometimes the riser may travel one platform to another platform if it is very far away distance, so it require some sort of support. So what they will do, no, they will elevate the riser and then they will support on the platform, so that platform is called the riser platform. And then living quarters is the platform which usually used for the staying purpose. The person has to be accommodated, they are accommodate in the platform, in the platform complex. The people will stay in that for the continuation work in the offshore. And in any complex, this village process riser, sometimes this living quarters will be form a complex. See, this is the platform complex. Here you are having the welded platform, riser platform, process, living quarters, and all the platforms which is connected through the linking bridge actually. Here if you see the flare support platform, the bridge is very larger here because there will be heat radiation will be there. For that there will be a minimum criteria will be there in the API, RP2A and then subsequent codes. In order to achieve that, they have to follow certain distance from any of this platform, away from this any of the platform. That is the reason here we are having very long bridge over here. Most of the flare supports are supported by the uh, supported by the jacket, followed by the tripod. It is having only the 3 leg here because we no need to go for 4 leg. 3 leg is enough actually. So other than that, so all the platform will have 4 legged or 6 leg, 8 leg. So this is the real-time photo of the platform complex. Here you are having some process, and this is the living quarters, and there will be a, riser. All those things will be there here. And see, this is the typical welded platform, which having the mainly the welded platform. The useful of the welded platform is to extract the crude from the offshore through the conductor guide. There is a conductor guide, and this is the water injection platform. See that why I'm introducing this water injection means, in some other platform, after there won't be, in the well there won't be any pressure. In order to bring the crude from the inside of the seabed to the upper side, what they will do, no, they will pump the water, the seawater, into the caisson. Then they will extract the oil from the platform. So that is called the water injection platform. And this is the living quarters, and this is the riser platform. If you see here, there is a riser which is crossing from here to here, then it is supported in the platform. This is called riser platform. And sometimes the riser platform which may be huge also. And this is the vent boom which we are having away from the welded platform. Now we will go to the structural design. First, the platform, the jacket, we will classify into two: in service and pre-service. So some of the analysis we have to perform for in service of the structure in order to qualify, and also some of the analysis we have to proceed for the pre-service of the structure. So to perform for the lifespan survival of the facility for all the loads expected during the design life, we have to qualify our jacket, all this analysis. The first is in place analysis, the fatigue, then fatigue analysis. Fatigue analysis is nothing but the repetitive load which is caused by the wave load. For that we have to check our jacket joints all are okay for that. Then seismic analysis, then cathodic protection design. So in order to avoid corrosion from the sea environment, we have to check our jacket whether the throughout the lifespan, the whatever we are designing for the cathodic protection is sufficient for or not. So for that we have to do the corrosion protection design, and collapse analysis, and jacker appurtenance design, and pile design, and then riser clamp design. The jacket appurtenance design is nothing but some miscellaneous things actually, like anode doubler plate design, and there will be some closure plate design. It's like some miscellaneous design we have to cover up here. Then pile design. So pile design is nothing but from the in place analysis, collapse analysis, we will be checking the pile design whether the whatever the targeted penetration depth is okay or not for the upcoming load over the pile. Then riser clamp design will be there. So there will be a clamps will be there. Not only riser clamp, there will be j-tube clamps also will be there. So all those things we have to design for the jacket in service condition. Apart from that, in service this one, the pre-service, which will be the construction engineering design also we have to consider in that. Apart from the service requirement, design of offshore structures to have be checked for the various construction requirement. It is fabrication, weight analysis. Weight analysis is nothing but we have to after fabrication, before load out, we have to uh, before load out and then transportation, we have to weigh the we have to weigh the module, whether it is jacket or topside. We have to wave the object through the waving analysis. From the weighing analysis, what is the outcome of that? The load cell and the hard point, where you are putting the hard point, whether it is sufficient, the hard point it is sufficient, sufficient to take the load when it is weighing. For that we have to do weighing analysis, then load out, then transportation, then some of the analysis offshore installation, like on bottom will be there, then pile drivability. So for that also we have to qualify. Then module installation, sometimes, so what happen when the top side is installed, it will not install the one it's a single lift, there will be a multiple lift will be there. So suppose the top side is divided into four parts, so one part will be installed first and second part will be installed second. By the time the second part will be partially supported from the first module. So for that sequence of module installation we have to check for the installation criteria. Then finally hook up. Then apart from that, the pre-service analysis, analysis which we have to check for the jacket load out, transportation, on bottom stability, and mud mat design. This mostly for jacket only, on bottom and mud mat design. Lift analysis, launch and flotation analysis for jacket, then sea fastening design, then we have to do pile drivability. So these things we have to check for the pre-service condition. Then when the then lifted installation jacket, yes, a jacket can be installed through lift also, or launch also. So when it is lift installed jackets, we have to check whether it is vertical lift or horizontal lift. For that we have to check for the jacket is built in vertical. Smaller jackets, basically the smaller jacket will be, they will fabricate in vertical, and then transportation also will be in vertical, because we will have the crane capacity in order to handle the jacket. But whereas some bigger jackets, if you don't have a crane capacity, then we have to go for launching. In that case, most of the jacket will be in horizontal position, so the quay side they will fabricate and then they will load out into the barge. Then launch installed jacket, this is a lift installed jacket, then launch installed jacket. The jacket is built in horizontal position, launch trusses are inbuilt to the jacket structure. See, apart from the jacket design, this is the, when we are doing the launch, we have to provide the launch truss also, because all your jacket loads, everything is going to be supported in the launch truss only when it is launching. Let me show the how the launch jackets look like. So this is the jacket which is planned for launching. So if you take the inner row of these two, there will be a, see here, there will be a launch cradle will be there. If you take the section of that, this is the truss, launch truss will be there. If you see here, the jacket will be launching through this support actually. And then technology in offshore structural design. So some of the technology will be there. So what are the names? Oceanography, the environment force due to wave, wind and tide and ice. This is the oceanography. Then foundation engineering, whatever input we are getting from the geotechnical data for design of piles, mud mat and anchors. There is the foundation, it will be covered in the foundation engineering. And structural engineering, yes, what we are doing is materials, corrosion, welding, structural analysis, fatigue assessment, fabrication, and installation appurtenance provisions. All will be under the structural engineering and marine engineering. So installation and navigation, instrumentation, everything will come under the marine engineering and naval architecture. So flotation, buoyancy, towing vessels, everything is coming under the naval architecture. So basically what we will do is we will do the structural engineering, and there will be a foundation engineering also partially we will do for design of piles. For design of piles, for pile drivability, geotechnical engineering they will take care. Apart from that, mud mat design, yes, we will do for this one, no, for on bottom stability. For that we have to refer the geotechnical data as well as for the in place run also to model the PSI file, pile soil interaction file. We have to refer the foundation engineering. And the data for oceanography for environmental force means that wave height period, and then wind velocity, every then current acceleration, all those things we have to, current velocity, all those things we have to taken from the oceanography data. So these are the departments which we involved in the offshore structural design. Actually they though, so each and every department they are having the responsibility. So our responsibility lies in the structural engineering. Then codes and standard, we are following API RP2A and DNV and ASC. API RP2A is for jackets, it's tubular, tubular to tubular. ASC for beam, all for beam sections or beam to tubular, all under follow the ASC. Then AWS for welding. And then marine operations such as this marine warranty operations also they will come into play for insurance purpose. Basically the company like LOC, BV will come into the picture on this scope. Then we are following some of the BVS, BV, DNV. They give some guideline for the, for construction and then installation of the jackets. they Sorry. So we are having that this one, no, guideline in that PV and DNV, so we have to follow this one. Mainly this we will follow. Apart from this, there will be some industrial standard, and then client specification will be there. We have to follow that also. From that we have to make the design basis, that is the bible of the project. So whenever we want to refer anything, we have to go back the uh, design basis, and then we have to follow the software for mainly for this offshore for modeling purpose we are using for SACS, and for file drivability GRLV we are using, and MS Excel and math calculation for for hand calculation, MS Word for report preparation. And there will be a material management system, preferably in-house. Maybe apart from that, there will be macro will be developed from the company side, so that we will be using for the material management system. And then naval marine software, that is also they will also involve for this one, like for naval marine they will involve the naval marine software, like DNV softwares. So guideline for jacket, now we will now we are go this up to that, the introduction of offshore. So what are the things, everything is covered. Now the guideline for a jacket configuration. This is the fixed platform design, has three main phases. The dimension of the deck depends on the function of the platform. Yes, the dimension, everything is dependent on the function. And the second part is the design of jacket, which is depend upon the water depth, wave, current, and other loads. Yes, the depth, the design of the jacket and the size, everything is depend upon the water depth, the height, current, loads, everything. Then third is the third phase of design of to added the robustness of the deck and the design jacket design for lifting tow, lifting tow, launching, and installation. Then the robustness of the deck or jacket is depend upon the lift, tow, or launching on installation. So these are the three guidelines which we have to keep in mind when we are jacket configuration. Apart from that, there is many other thing is also there. Just highlighted the key points. So now we are going into the in place analysis. How to do in place analysis? Before in place analysis, what are the things we have to do, preparatory work we have to do for the in place analysis. So this is the isometric view of the platform. This is the deck, and this is the jacket portion, and there will be a conductor also. So for this jacket, the water depth is 82.4 meter, and pile penetration is 110 meter. Number of conductor is 6 numbers, 30 inch, and there is a 2 numbers of riser which is 12 inch, and there is a vent boom. There is a small vent boom for a 12-meter vent boom is there, and heli deck. There will be a heli deck at the top of the top side, which is designed for bell 4 and 2. So this is the isometric view of one typical platform. Okay, now the first thing before getting into the piles, the in place analysis, after modeling, immediately we have to generate the pile soil interaction. That will be the, like any other online onshore design. What we will have only the SBC. We will call it as a SBC. So once if you know the load at the uh, fixed it is, so what we will do, we will take the load. Then we know the SBC, allowable stress. Now we know the load. From there we can calculate the area of the footing required. Same like that here, in order to come up with the pile, we have to model the soil properties in the software. For that, what we have to do is, basically the soil we have to model is, see, the ultimate capacity of the pile equal to skin friction plus end bearing. But whatever the in onshore, we will consider only the end bearing. See, where the footing is resting, that SBC only is we will consider. But whereas when we come to the pile, we have to take we have to consider the skin friction also along the length of the pile. If you see here, this line, the arrow is called skin friction. So we have to consider skin friction, the ultimate capacity equal to skin friction plus end bearing. So this is the expression which I have snapped from the API RP2A. If you go this section 6.4.1, there is a expression over there. So now, for this is the input data from the geotechnical report. So if you see here, there is some highlighted portion over here. There is some red color. Here pile diameter is there and wall thickness is there, and local core depth they are given 3.2 meter. So if, see, whatever the pile you are considering for the design, the pile diameter and wall thickness is same. When they are sampling the soil from the seabed, if it is same, we can use this all data as it is. If it is the diameter and wall thickness is different, then we have to find the this is the reference diameter. Then whatever we are using the actual diameter, that ratio we have to take, and then we have to multiply it to these data. So for that one, we have to always check whether this pile diameter and wall diameter, whatever we are designing, is in line with this, or we have to consider any this one actual diameter to this one actual diameter to this ratio. We have to check and take it. And if you see, you have to check whether any local covers depth is there or not. If there is local cover depth up to 3.2 meter, then from 0 to up to 3.2 meter, you should not enter any values. So all the values should be 0 0 0 you have to enter. It means that there will be no soil from the mud line from 0 0 level to 3.2 level. So what happened when if you are forget to keep this value, but when you are forgetting put this 0 0 0, instead of, if you put any value, what will happen, but actually you are considering soil there. But after locals covered up, there won't be any soil there, but lateral resistant it will not be there when the soils are scarred. Okay, the soils are scarred, there won't be any soil around the pile. Then when you are considering that, so you are underestimating your pile. In order to eliminate that, you have to put 0 0 0 here. Same like that here, this is the TZ data, and this is the uh, QZ data, and this is the PY data. See, all any soil file you have to consider these three: TZ data, QZ data, and PY data. This TZ data is the axial load by deflection, and QZ data is the end bearing, and PY data is the lateral deflection. So load versus lateral deflection, the depth wise it will give the P1, P2, P3 is the point, the 6 point or 4 point they will mentioned it over here, and the soil type of also they are given here actually. So we have to enter this all the values into the data gen format. I will show. See, this is the PSI sample file. This is the data gen file. If you see here in the PSI opt, this is the PSI opt file. This we will not, because below mud line we will not model any pile. Just we have to type it in terms of number only. The program will automatically take. See, this is the jacket mud line level. If you see here 001p, 002p, 003p, 004p. So these are the pile locations here, pile head locations here. If you see from here, sorry, from here there will be a pile will be starting from here. So this one pile we are not modeling here, we have to numerically we have to type here. If you see here, PA1, PA2, PB1, PB2, this is the group name. And how I am referring this one, if you see here in that second line, 001p 201L. See, 001p 201L. What I am telling to the program, 001p 201L PA1. Once it is identify the PA1, it will go here and take the PA1 properties, and it will assign the pile over here. The batter length will be along this 201 and 001p. So the pile will be numerically we are modeled here. If you see here, there will be a 3 line in the PA1. What is the why we require 3 line? Because I have two different grades and thickness. See, the first is 3.810 from the mud line, to 49 meter. I have 3.81 centimeter thickness, and okay, and 213.4 is the dia, and this is the 34.5 is the yield strength. 34.5 is the yield strength up to 49. My second segment after 49 meter uh, up to 59.5 meter, I have, if you see here, this is 24.8, 24.8, this one yield stress, 248 Newton per mm square is the yield stress. Here it is in centimeter. If you see here, unit is kilonewton per centimeter square will be there. If you convert that one, 248 Newton per mm square here. And if you see the third one, here the thickness is varies. See, 50.8 mm, here 5.08 centimeter. The yield stress is 345 Newton per mm square here. And this is the end bearing, 3.576 is the end bearing. End bearing is nothing but to take the area of this one will give the end bearing of the pile, which is having the tip actually at the bottom of the pile. This is the end bearing. Same like that, PA2, PB1, PB2. The program will find PA2 from here. So it will take all the length over here, and PB2 like that it will take actually. This is the soil ID, SOL. We have to give ID. This soil ID we have to call in PY data, QZ data, TY data here. You see here, this is the, so whatever we are seeing here, we have to type it in terms of data gen file. So this is the data gen file. So TZ, this is the TZ skin friction data. T is 8 and this is 6. 6 is the number of point here. If you see here, up to see T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T5. Up to T5 there won't be T6. But there we are having T6. Why? Because always T1 T1 we have to start with 0. If you see here, it is starting with some number 0.009, but we have to always start from 0. T1 0, T is at 0. So we have to shift this point. For that reason, up to 6 point is there. If you see here, see if the field is blank means 0 comma 0, it will be there. Okay, then this is the Z factor and this is the T factor. And see, suppose what is the factor in the sense, if you see here, this all the things will be mm, the unit is in mm. So suppose when unit is in mm, but whereas when we are having this sacs, we are having only the centimeter. If you see here, TZ factor convert, so only centimeter. So each and every the numbers we cannot multiply or divided by this factor and then we can enter. What we will do is we will enter as it is and then we will factor at the top. Here factor at the top, that is the Z factor, and T factor also same like that. Then soil strata count, see the soil strata is up to 6.5. Again the depth will be varying up to some 200 meter, it will go 200 meter, but we no need to type up to 200 meter, we can stop where we want. If you look out the this one, no, pile capacity curve, where you want that length, there you can terminate, that is enough actually. No need to type all up to 200 meter depth, you can terminate at 100 meter, 150 meter, whatever the required depth you want. So that is the, so here we are taken 50 and we have to count how many lines it is there, that is the soil strata count here, is a count here, and this is the soil depth, this is the number of points. Same like that, q is that bearing data we have to enter here, and py lateral data we have to enter here. Once we have to enter, we have to generate the curve. See, now we have finished all the curve. Now we have to check whether whatever the curve we are enter, it will generate the pile capacity. That curve, whatever the curve for tension and compression, it will match us with the curve what we are get from the geotechnical report. If you see here, this is the curve. See, whatever the points we are typed here, it is represent in the graphical point actually. Once we are running this program, once we are running the program in the plot soil data, this after this one, no, finishing this typing this data gen, if you drag that file into the soil plot data, it will generate the pile capacity output plot, all those things. This is the output of the plot. So you can see all curve is starting from 0 comma 0, all curve is starting from 0 comma 0 up to this is the meter, 85th meter, 103, 61, something like that. So it will be created. This is the for py data, it is created here, and this is the end bearing. Okay, and after finishing this one, if you click this output, no, this pile capacity output, you will get this curve actually. So whatever the curve, it will plot the pile penetration versus capacity, pile this one versus capacity, it will create actually. So this is the compression curve and this is a tension curve. This curve we have to compare, this curve we have to compare with our soil data file over here. See the curve which, this curve which we can compare with here. Once if it is okay, then our soil file is ready, psi file is ready for in place analysis run. So see the, this is the pile maximum, see this output I will explain at the last. So how we have to fix this from the in place analysis, we have to, this will be the compression and this will be the tension. So what is the maximum compressive load, I have to check here, 28, 27, 31, 30. So 31 mega newton, 31 mega newton is the my maximum compression load. So here go for 30 31.88, say 32, 32 from here, 32 somewhere here. So you drop a line, you go to compression capacity. Compression is nothing but that red color graph. From here, drop the line here. You are touching the curve here and go to this one and progress. So I need 75. 75 is my penetration depth. From here we have to you have to take the penetration depth here. Same way, tension. What is my capacity here? 15 meganewton is the my maximum tension capacity. So what we have to do is 15. From here, go to the curve here, tension curve here, drop it here. So around some 63 or something. So I need 63 meter pile penetration length in order to satisfy my tension capacity. So this output I will explain at the end of this presentation. This output we will get only the after in place run. Okay, so this completes the uh, pile capacity curve from soil report generation, and now we are ready for our PSI run. The file is ready. Now we have to go to in place analysis. In the in place analysis, what are the things? First we have to model. We have to material we have to assign, member offset and member FT length we have to give. Then loading. Then whatever the we are model, that is the model load steel weight, and the jacket miscellaneous weights. It is called as a NGDL loads, non-generated loads. Suppose for like pad I, anode, for that and all we have to apply as a non-generated load. Either we can add it as a factor to the model weight, or we have to add as a point load or UDL load. Then deck miscellaneous steel weight we have to give. Corrosion allowance, yes, wherever the splash zone is there we have to corrosion allowance. This one we need some calculation and then override we have to do. I will explain sorry how to do. Then we have to apply platform live loads, then equipment load and area load, then crane loads, model rig load, marine growth load. Marine growth load is nothing but the over the depend of the over the time there will be a deposit of the algae and fungus or algae, mostly algae on the leg of the jacket. That it will be formed some clumsy type of things actually, that is called the marine growth. So for that load also we have to take then buoyancy load, then wave and current load, wind load. This will be covering in the environmental load. So these are the loads we have to consider. Then CDCM calculus. What is CDCM calculus? Some of the model members we are not model, some of the non-model members we are not model. Suppose example, anode we will not model into the our model. So what we have to do for that anode? So when you are generating the wave force, the wave will attack the jacket leg. So the jacket leg will absorb the load, but there will be some if the there will be some anode welded to the leg. So the same wave will hit into the anode. So that all the anode will attract some wave force and it will transfer to the jacket leg. There we are not modeling the anode. Still we have to consider that load also into the leg. For that we have to do the CDCM calculate and override the non-model members. Same then CDCM for conductor shielding and group override for corrosion allowance. Elastic bending force for curved conductors. Basically this elastic bending force it will not come for all platform. Just for your to get familiarize that I'm telling that I will explain what is this elastic bending force. Sometimes you may have this problem also when the curve is bent, then we have to consider the elastic bending force when we are applying the load on the jacket. Then wind area calculation. So we have to do all those calculations and apply as a override into the model. Then water depth calculation. See this water depth calculation, this formula is not strictly for all offshore structure. Basically this will be varying between all clients, all those things. Some of the clients are consider LA2 to HAT, and this water depth inaccuracy also will get changed based upon the site. All those things will get changed. Simple, I have taken some example to show you. For operating condition and storm condition, you have to consider the how to calculate the water depth calculation. So if you see here in this calculation, 20.7 is the LAT plus zero point 0.6 the accuracy plus 1.2 is the astronomical time, and storm surge for in the operating condition 1.1, but whereas in the 100-year return period storm surge is 1.9. So operating condition water depth is 23.60 meter, and for storm condition 24.40 meter. These numerical numbers I have taken for some example, but this is the way to calculate the water depth calculation for operating and storm. We have to consider for two water depth here. This water depth we have to override when we are giving the wave load for operating 23.60, for storm 24.40 we have to give. Then only the wave will be generating from this 20.440 to whatever we are giving the wave height, that will be generating, so that your so now water level will be increased from 20.40 meter. This 23.60 for operating. Then CDCM calculation. If you see the CDCM calculation, see in API RP2A, these two guideline will be there for 0.65, 1.6 for smooth tubes, 1.05, 1.2 for rough tubes. What is smooth tube and rough tube? Smooth tube is actually for where the splash zone members, it's called as a smooth tubes. Where we are having below the water line, we will call it as a rough tube. But when we are calculating the this one, no wave load for this one, for on bottom stability and all, for entire depth we have to use smooth tube only, because within 1 day or 2 day we will not have any marine growth. That will be time dependent process. For that reason we have to use smooth tubes for this on bottom cases, whereas in place we have to use this rough tubes. But wherever the splash zone is there, we have to use 0.65, 1.6. I will tell you where to apply this one, all those things. For some of the this one for grating, whatever there in the splash zone, we have to calculate the CDCM for that also. So this is the formula: area into CDI divided by A. A dash is the drag area of the adjust member. A is the drag area of the component. CDI is the corresponding drag coefficient. Same way for CM also, this way in terms of volumes, volume of the adjust member, and V1 is the volume of the component, Ci is the corresponding mass coefficient. So this is the summation we have to calculate it. I will show some sample calculation over here. If you see here, we will model up to here only. We will not model the top portion here. So for this we have to, for this also it will attract the wave, and that load will be transferred to the supporting member. In order to do that one, we have to calculate the CDCM for these items, and we have to override for this member. So what will happen? Automatically when wave will hit, it's simply like it is amplifying. We'll put factor 1.1, something like that we are doing here. But in terms of CDCM only, that's all. If you see here, jacket member, this is the jacket member, and handrail, this is the handrail, and this is a vertical post, this is the vertical post, and vertical post, and there is the horizontal rail member here, and the kick plate, this is a kick plate. So each and every this one parameter, no, length, CD, CM, we have to enter here as per this formula. I have told, no, summation of AI thing we have to calculate it here. Finally this is the, we will give CD and CM value, this value. So you have to click this member. I will show how to do this one. Suppose see here, 1.34, 1.73, 1.34, 1.73. So this is the member, it is highlighted in red color. You click that member, and for that you have to go to the environmental option, click that member, this dialog box will be open here, override and click apply, so that the CDCM will be applied here. Same like that you have to give for all the member wherever you want to, right? So once you are giving in the back end, this will create the one data gen file. Okay, like any other something stad editor file, something like that, it will also create. This is the way we have to give the member overrides. Then dummy member, see these are called dummy members. Why we have to call dummy members? Because these all the, this will not participate any stiffness for the global, for that is the reason, and this is the replaceable item. For that we will not consider this is for a for a stiffness purpose. So this will be like dummy members, like, so we have to give this member as a dummy member property wherever the boat landing is there. So we have to select all those members. Again we have to go this environmental data. Here there will be option will be there, see dummy structure. You have to click the dummy structure, dialog will be open. So you select these members and click OK. So this will be click, this will be the data gen will be generating for this code actually. So what it means, see 1 2 3 4, this 4 joint will be keep, 1 2 3 4 joint will be keep, and remaining all this member will be deleted. All the loads will be calculated and apply as a force over here, fx fy fz force is applied over here, and then this will be deleted. It's like no putting, calculating only the load and then transferring to the structure, including the wave load. It will transfer to the structure, and this will not participate any global stiffness in the while doing the analysis. Once if you are clicking the post view data, this you cannot see actually. In proceed only you can see, this will be deleted because we are giving the deleted command error. Okay, and this is the conductor shielding factor. When the waves hit, suppose wave is coming this direction, front line 3 conductor will be there, and back line back side there will be 3 conductors there. So whatever the front first line, it will attract more load compared to the second one, because 100% load will be attracted here, but here there will be only 80% or 70% wave load will be attraction will be there. In order to reduce that one, we have to calculate the conductor shielding factor, and we have to apply that conductor shielding factor is again it's depend upon the s by d ratio, space to the diameter. Whatever the spacing is there, no, we have to calculate, and the diameter. From here you have to pick up the shielding factor what it is. So that shielding factor you have to apply in the member. Just click the member and apply as the again you have to go to the environment. Here there will be a dialog box will be there, click that member and apply the this one conductor shielding factor. Once if you are having the conductor shielding factor, this will be creating data gen over here. So that only you are seeing here 1.14 1.14. See here 1.14 1.14. Here again the conductor shielding factor is nothing. If you see this presentation, and if you pass this one, and you can see, you can able to assess the calculation. It is nothing but the multiplication. That's all. That's all. Then corrosion override, I told already. See this is the jacket, this is the jacket. So this is the water level 0.00. Above this is called as a splash zone. So whatever the splash zone, this area there won't be any anode supply. So we have to calculate the corrosion allowance here. So basically the design basis calls the corrosion allowance, whether it is 6 mm or 12 mm, something like that will be there. So for load purpose we have to take full property. When we are doing analysis, we have to minus the corrosion, and then we have to do. Why? Because this member is not having any anode contact over here. So what happen, it will be get rusted, so it will be get corroded during the tenure of the lifespan of the jacket. There will be a corrosion these places. So the diameter and thickness will be getting reduced. For that purpose we have to calculate the uh, this one corrosion override. So this is the corrosion allowance 30 mm, the corrosion allowance. We have to minus this 13 mm into the diameter as well as the thickness. For the thickness we have to consider, we have to minus, this is the original thickness, uh, If you see 22 to 7.4 is the original thickness, and this is a carotid, and see 3.31.8 mm is the thickness. After reducing the thickness, 18.8 is the thickness of the tubular, minusing this 13 mm to this one, and this is the sectional area of that tubular, and this is the displacement. This is the effective dimension 27.4, 27.4. This is the original. So what happened, this will be taken during the load purpose, but when we are analyzing, this will be taking. So how to do that one? So we have to click that member. Here there will be a group override there. Here you have to enter the cross section area override, whatever you are going to write, then displaced area override, all those things you have to 27.4, 27.4. But in your model, see 27, uh, in your model 22.4 only will be there, but you have to override this one. So whatever the load purpose it will take, but analysis purpose the reduced thickness will be taken here. And flooded members. See what are the flooded members? You have to give the flooded members. Just click this option and you have to go to this edit. This box will be open. Here you have to check the member whether it is flooded or non-flooded. We have to give for this leg actually. Why we have to give this one? Because once we are giving the flooded member, there won't be any buoyancy considered for this member, because water will be entering into the jacket leg. For that we have to give the flooded member option. Then then how to see this one? After selecting, go to this labeling option, go to the special and go to this flooded member option, click this one and apply. It will show what are the members considered for the flooded. And marine growth, I told marine growth. Again you go to this environment, then there will be a marine growth table will be there. If you go here and see, there will be a marine growth. See this one, you have to click this one, there will be marine growth. The marine growth, when we have to give actually, see from the marine growth, the how to consider marine growth and what extent we have to consider marine growth, all those will input will be given in the design basis actually. We see here from elevation plus 3 to minus 30 10 and minus 32 mudline 5, because the thickness here it will be more, because we are having the sunlight and this one, no sunlight we will have, so that there will be a more corrosion, this one sorry, marine growth will be there. As going below the depth you will have less content of this one, no oxygen. Here the marine growth thickness will be less actually. Here marine growth rate of increase will be high actually. So from this elevation consider the marine growth 10, and from this elevation to mudline 5 5 centimeter is the marine growth thickness. Accordingly the wave load and all it will calculate based on the this diameter plus this thickness it will take, and then it will calculate the this one wave load, and then there it will apply the wave load actually. It's sorry, this dead weight also will be considered for this marine growth by giving this parameter. Okay, I told already elastic bending force what it is. Sometimes the curve will start, the your conductor will start curve conductor like this. Sometimes horizontal drilling will be there. For that the curve will start from here, so there will be some curvature here. So what we have to do is we have to model one stick model. This elevation we have to make one joint here. Sorry. And we have to apply the load. We for the dead weight we have to run. So whatever the reaction we are getting for this elevation from this axe, we have to take this xyz for this elevation reaction we have to here. So for that reaction for lateral 46.823 and fy 129.8 is we have to apply here. This is called elastic bending force. Again this elastic bending force calculation, again we have to some separate run. Just what my idea is, just to ensure that okay this elastic bending force is there, how to calculate and where to consider. My idea is to not to go in detail calculation of this one. I am giving some familiarization to you, but in future if you want any how to calculate this one, how to consider, just you approach me, I will guide you further. Then wind force. As you know, the wind force, there is a guideline in the wind force actually how to consider, what are the things consider. Here this is the expression of the wind force. API guideline is given in the equation 2.3.23. This is the API section. Here you are having you know, for some of the parameter we have to consider. For a jacket in place analysis we have to consider 1 hour average. For deck in place 1 minute. For building on this one 5 seconds. Remaining all small this one no calculation and structures we have to consider 3 sorry 3 second gust. So we have to consider all those things. Sorry. So the elevation whatever they are given from the environmental data, they will give always 10 meter from the sea water. So the height will be the reference height will be the 10 meter. So if you want any particular height, you have to come here and you have to calculate the velocity and you have to calculate the wind force here. So this is the one typical calculation I had. Basically for jacket there won't be any wind load, only from the 0.2 up to the pile cutoff length where the jacket sorry the jacket cutoff leg cutoff, from there only we will apply the wind load here, and mostly wind load will be considered on the top side. So this will be taken as a block and then wind load is applied here on the hard point here. For that we have to select a joint here and we have to specify area in software. Suppose W1, if you take W1, this is the W1 and breadth height, and this is the area, and this is a distributed joint 1 2 3 4 5 6 joint, 1 2 3 4 5 6 main joint. And what is the CG of this one? XYZ. XYZ is the nothing but the center of this W1 box. This is XYZ and this is shape coefficient factor. I'm considering this is a fully blocked. For that I have taken 1. If any, you see W2, this is a flare. We know that there won't be, sorry, this is not flare, vent boom. We know that there won't be any equipment. So we are considering here 0.5 here. If you see here 0.5. Here we will have some equipment, all those stuffs. For that we have taken say coefficient of 1. So from here this data we have to type it in software here now. So suppose if you go to the area, see these are the distributed joints and these are the areas, say suppose W1, and this is the wind velocity. Here we have to enter this one, we will get it from the design basis. And what is the angle, whether it is 45 0 degrees like that we have to give. And this is water depth override, as I have told already. The water depth we have to override it here, whether it is storm or it is operating, basically like that we have to override it here. So these are the data we have to feed in the software. And wind loading, how to do that one? Again we have to go to environment and click the wind. From here, see wave, wind, current, here it is there. Click this one, you will get some you know, the boxes. What are the list you have to consider? Just you select this list, include and exclude, and apply. So this will get the uh, once if you are doing this one here, it will generate in the data gen over here. Then wave load minimum actually 8 direction we have to consider. For tripod we have to consider 12. And some of, in addition to that, some of the things we have to consider at the leg itself. We have to consider and the find the overturning moment actually. So we have to careful always whatever they are given in the environmental data, and the sacks is aligned with this. Suppose the direction of the sacks here it is 0.45, it is in uh, anti-clockwise direction, but whereas here it is clockwise direction. So whatever the environment data 45 degree is equal to 315 degree. Suppose this is 0 degree is 0 degree. Suppose if 0, 45 degrees, the software 45 degree is equal to C state 315 degree. So that one we have to keep in mind. So this 45 and this 45 will not, if you are putting this 45, and that will be your software is 315. So you have to be make sure that the theta whatever you are giving, you have to align with your uh, software direction. And we have to select the wave theory. So whatever the wave theory we have to use, you have to calculate h by g t apparent square d by t apparent square. From here, what you have to drop a line from here, drop a line from here where it meets. So that wave theory you have to consider for your analysis. So this is the API curve. If you go to API, you can find the wave theory selection curve over there. So here, what about the what actually this wave theory tells is, the wave force are calculated by Morrison equation. One is drag and one is inertia. This is the reason FD is the drag and FA is the inertia. F equal to FD plus Fi. This two we have to combine. This is already we are seeing this one CD value, CM value, this velocity here diameter, and this is area. That's all. This is the one projected area. So this will give the wave force here. Here there is one member is taken here, and there is a the water the velocity, and this particle velocity and the water density is given here. So just substituting this one, you will get the wave force here. The simple calculation to familiarize with the wave load, how we calculate that one. The software is doing like this only. So wave force F equal to Fd plus Fi, and this is the wave load, how we have to give this parameter. So these are the parameter, wave load parameter. This zero point 0.8 is the kinematic factor and 11.58 is the wave period. Sorry, 11.5 is the wave height, and level is the wave period. So this 84.6 is the water depth override. So these things we have to give for this wave loading. And then we have to do current stretching. If you go for after the 0 0, there will be a current will be the wave will be going like this. So for that we have to consider the current stretching. For that there is an option, we have to use current stretching option, whether you want linear or non-linear something like that. So this is the wave. Once if you are doing this, it will create the datagen file over here. And next to air gap calculation. Air gap calculation is nothing but, see, always we have to give this air gap. The bottom of steel of the top side should be, if you go to this APIRP2A, there will be a guideline, omnidirectional guideline wave height with a normal written period for 100-year period. We have to consider a safety margin or air gap of at least 5 feet should be added to the crust. Actually, this is the crust. This is the highest point of the wave. From here to 5 feet you have to add. That should be your bottom of steel of the top side. This is called air gap. So that air gap you have to check whether whatever the BOS thing is there or not. For how to check that one, you have to take a wave run. From the wave run you will have the water depth, all those things. From here water crust wave depth minus this water depth will give 6.33 meter. So 6.33 meter is the crust wave height. From 6.33, from 0.00, 6.3 plus add this 5 feet again. So that should be your air gap. This is called air gap calculation. Next it is DAP calculation. So this DAP calculation is, see, for any structural steel model, we will put it as a factor. But when it comes to wave, what we have to do, we have to run the model analysis to get the time period. From the time period, this is the formula, substitute here, you will get the DAF. So you have to calculate the DAF each and every period, and whatever the maximum that DAF you can take conservatively and apply in the wave load combination in all direction. So for that, this will be the whatever the wave force into 1.038, because due to the this is amplification factor. For that, we are giving the factor for this wave. This is called the DAF. Again, this also will involve the calculation again little bit. If I explain that, the presentation will go very big. If you have any doubt, you can always reach me through my mail id or messages. I will reply to you. Just I'm repeatedly I'm telling to you to get familiarized these type of words for the beginners especially. Then load combination we have to create operating load case, storm load case, uplift load case. Operate load case, no allowable stress, 1 year wind and wave. For storm, 1.33 is a stress, we have to allow increase it with 100-year wave and wind and wave. For uplift case, 100-year storm will be applicable for this. For only pile only, we have to check for this one. Then last is pile factor of safety. We have to, once everything is set, we have to run the program. We will get the pile this one, no maximum load compression. This load we have to check the pile factor of safety what we are having. The pile factor of safety for operating for extreme case should be, this factor of safety should be greater than 1.5. For operating case should be greater than 2. For tension case should be greater than 1.5 for extreme case. What is this pile factor of safety? It's nothing but it's the same like actual load by allowable load. So whatever the actual load is there divided by this allowable load, that is the only calculation. Apart from that, we have to consider the below mudline weight of soil plug or self weight of the pile. We have to add it and then add it to the pilot force. So that will be the actual load divided by allowable load. It will give the pile factor of safety. So after that, this one, no pile factor of safety, this completes the in place analysis. Apart from the in-flight analysis, we have to check with some of the miscellaneous diseases we have to do. For jacket walkway, check for the wave slamming, jacket star, check for the wave loads in the wave zone, riser clamp design of crown shim, pile spacer, mud mat and members, anode support, top closure plate, trunnion and vortex shading, grating, hydrostatic check for jacket, conductor guide. These all the miscellaneous calculation we have to do. That will be the part of secondary design calculation report. So for subsequently, I will be plan to prepare this miscellaneous design report as well as the on bottom, or whenever I'm getting the time, I will be preparing this videos presentation, and then I will circulate to people will get benefit. Thank you for all watching the video. If you have any questions or any discussion or any materials if you need, just comment on the section. Just comment it. I will try to give as soon as possible. Also please circulate this materials to whoever needy. That will be helpful for some other persons. So thank you all. We'll see.